After 7 straight green weekly candles for Bitcoin, are we about to put in our first red weekly candle? You can see that right here on the chart. And again, you can see some clear resistance right around this moving average. So we're going to be taking a look at that on the weekly, 1 hour, 4 hour, and the daily chart. So stay tuned if you're interested in that. What is going to happen? As well, we're going to be taking a look at the entire crypto market, the health, Bitcoin dominance clearly increasing a little bit, which does happen on pullbacks, smart money. Smart money seems to go more into Bitcoin, and you can see why that might be the case just looking even at the top 10. Bitcoin down the least of all the top 10 cryptocurrencies. It's a common trend that's been that way for quite a long time. Find out why in this episode. What's going on, Jelly Beans? Today is April 11th, 2019. First off, if you're new to the channel, make sure to hit that button and also hit that other button, and we can just jump right into the video. So looking at Bitcoin on the weekly chart, you can see a very clear situation here. What we talked about in yesterday's video was this stochastic RSI on the weekly here. We just want to pull that up. You can see, it's been hanging up here for over a month now, which we have seen in the past. Back in December, of 2016, that was the last time the stochastic really stayed up there for quite a long time. Should we expect a pullback, as drastic as this? I don't think necessarily. I think it's important to point out the similarities here and here and the momentum. And we're going to look at the other time frames as well, because I think they hold some nice clues. But most obviously, this is the moving average. This seems to be resistance right about here. And it's a very natural, expected resistance there. So for right now, I want to jump over to the daily, because you can see on the daily, we have not pulled back to the 50-day moving average on this chart here. But something we do see on the stochastic is that nice retracement back, in the stochastic here, down currently right around 54. We weren't this low yesterday, obviously. And if we want to take a look on the regular RSI, you can see as well, we're seeing somewhat of a move back, currently around the 66, 67 on there. So the one day is surely pointing to a little bit of a pullback here. It's been almost a week and a half that we've been in a very nice uptrend. So it's very natural we get a nice pullback to this moving average there, and expected. And that's what the daily chart is showing. We're going to look at the 4 hour as well, because something we see here is that we have found, support as of right now on this moving average on the 4 hour there. One thing you do see is that on the stochastic, you see kind of bottomed out right around like 0.8, right? Very low on the stochastic on the 4 hour there. And as well, if we take a look on the 4 hour and kind of look at the stochastic and everything going on there, you can see we've clearly broken the moving average on the 1 hour, which we have not broken very clearly since we had this nice pump on April 2nd. So we finally do have that now. You can see it did touch on the 4th of April, again on the 6th of April, on the 8th, and then pretty much hugged it for the last few days, really. But this is the first time we see a clear break below that, which we have not seen. This is a break, but within a few hours it went above, found some support, and kind of hugged that line. But now we've put in a good 12 hours and we're below it now. On the 1 hour, we do see the stochastic actually curving up a little bit, which could indicate, some positive momentum in the future. But I think for right now, I think we should go back to the daily. I think that'll probably give us the best indicator. On the daily, we are pretty overextended from the moving average. So I think a nice healthy pullback, not necessarily all the way back to 4,200, but I think that would be a good place. Again, this right here was long-term resistance for the past 6 months, right around like 4,000. And when we finally did get a clear break above that, I think what we need to see really is some support, a few $100s above 4,000, or even 4,000 if necessary. Last thing we want to do is kind of go back to 4,000 and fall beneath that. Is that a possibility? Of course it is. Anything's possible in crypto, but I'm really not betting for that. I'm not really thinking that that's going to be the case. But again, we can't ignore these indicators on the stochastic. Some clear shift downwards in momentum, and stochastic clear shift downwards there. Again, these are just indicators of momentum, and that's the way the momentum seems to be indicating right now. The 4 hour is really important right now because, on this frame, this is really what where the battle is going on. You can see the moving average, and you can see so tightly for the past, looks like 12 hours here, 1, 2, 3 candles, really just hugging that line. Stochastic really not indicating too much. RSI either right there, kind of both pretty horizontal. Again, so let's look at the weekly then. So really, in terms of a macro view, why, what's going on now? It seems as though just this trend line, this moving average right here. This moving average just seems to be playing huge resistance. Again, though, with a break above it, that could be huge support, and that's what's to be expected. Now, we're trying to come out of a bear market, right? This is us trying to come out of the bear market. I think that's what it boils down to, because for the entirety of 2017, we were very much above this moving average, really dating back all the way to October of 2015, and we didn't even touch that moving average until February of 2018, and really that was around the time the bull market really kind of got cemented. So right now we're kind of battling, trying to get out of the bear market. So this is really important. Really, I guess you could say we were trying to back in November of 2018, and we clearly lost that battle. The Bears definitely won that little struggle right there, right? Now the bulls have been trying to take control back. Again, though, if we look on the weekly, we do have some room to kind of pull back some more. This is the weekly. We've been up there for quite a long time. Going back a year, we don't see the stochastic being so overextended here. So naturally, it's possible that we're going to have time to retrace. So this is the big area right here, 5,200. A lot of people are saying 55 and 6,000, but we never quite made it to 55 or 6,000. Now this is a good thing, I think. If we have a pullback that continues for a week, maybe two, maybe longer, maybe shorter on the weekly, and again, this has a good illustration of it here on the daily, because what I mean by pullback is probably somewhere in this range, above 4,000, in between 4,000 and 4,300, where that moving average is. We could even see a dip slightly for a short amount of time below 39. I don't think that would be too horrible. But if we have a nice pullback here, we can kind of consolidate a little bit, get the market a little more equal, or get some equilibrium back in the market. That would allow, moving forward, for 55 and 6,000 to be surpassed fairly quickly. There's no way we're going to break 6,000 today. That's really not what the momentum is indicating, unless something crazy would happen. Again, this is crypto. TA can fly out the window at any point, but just looking at the simplest things that I can point out, it does look like we're going to have some time to pull back a little bit. Now, is that bad? I would say no. One thing I really think is important is that over the last few days, particularly last week and a half, people have had very slight, but it is tangible, that fear of missing out. I should have bought Litecoin. I should have bought Bitcoin at these prices. I should have got Bitcoin at 4,000. Should have got Litecoin at 60, 50 US dollars. And we don't have that opportunity right now, but are we going to get it soon? Very possibly. And this could represent a nice time for picking up those coins. Now, I'm not saying it is. I'm saying, this is not something to be looked bad upon. This is not something to get upset about, especially because a lot of indicators are showing that we are ready to exit the bear market. Now, when exiting a bear market, it's not going to be a clean break up to 7, 8, 10,000 US dollars for Bitcoin's price. It's going to come in waves, just like the entire market does. If we take a look on the weekly chart, even, you can notice that these lines are not straight lines. You see a lot of fluctuation in the prices there, and it's very natural. So with this most recent breaking of the ascending triangle right here, we should expect somewhat of a pullback. But something really exciting to take note of is that in the future, this whole area right here, and I drew that very poorly. That kind of illustrates my point a little better. The point of drawing this, you can see in my eyes, we see somewhat of a upward possibility. And I think that's really what we're headed towards. I think we're going to get pullbacks along the way, clearly, but I think we're going to start to be putting in higher highs, because I do think that the end of the bear market could be closer than some people are expecting. Now, I don't want to get people's hopes up, because we have just endured a very long bear market, and it's very possible that, we don't know what's going to happen, right? But a lot of indicators, again, things that I pointed out on the weekly here, clear resistance here, and on the daily, again, the resistance there, we do see that we have some support around that 43, 42, and even psychological support and past resistance of 4,000 right here. 4,000. So we're in somewhat of good hands in terms of some healthy pullback areas. They definitely do exist. Important to keep note of. And where does this line really line up? This is that long-term trend that I pointed out in the last few videos here. Somebody had a comment about switching the previous resistance instead of support on this trend line, which I think is valid enough. But I just want to point out, a breaking above this, even if we break 6,000, we still have a ways to go before we get still on somewhat of a nice, very macro viewed trend, for Bitcoin. really around 9-10,000 US dollars. I think 9-10,000 would definitely, for me, ultimately indicate a bull market. That's when things would really get exciting. You know for sure if Bitcoin hit 10,000 again, that would be headlines. We're already seeing some headlines for Bitcoin breaking what it did break, above 5,000 over the last few days. There's already headlines for that. And there's a reason for it. I mean, looking even on the weekly here for Bitcoin, this candle is pretty massive right here. Now, does that indicate the end of a bear market? If we look at the volume here, it has been a little bit nicer. That green candle was pretty drastic. Last time we really saw something of that magnitude was back in April of 2018, so an entire 12 months ago, really. But that's when we were more in a bear trend. We have to keep in mind kind of the cycle and where we are now as opposed to where we were then. But really, I do think there is some room for healthy pullback. But if we're entering a bull market, we have to really abide by the bull market rules as opposed to the bear market, which many of us are used to. Kind of bear market rules, bear market situations, and how continued rejection off these moving averages just really continues, because that's what we've seen. Support, not really found, tried to bounce, boom, underneath it, tried to find support, didn't find it, consolidated in, within this descending triangle, but also under this moving average, and ultimately got rejected. Here, though, we are trying to break out of it. So we are really beginning the process of a potentially very, very healthy move, but it has to be determined yet. Nobody knows. It has to be determined yet. Nobody knows quite yet where we're going to go, but these are critical moments in terms of tracking the entire health of the Bitcoin market. So this is really important because this is where excitement could be formed, or where continued pause and delay in cryptocurrency might develop. So I think that's really important to keep an eye on. But yeah, let me know what you think in the comments. I think a continued pullback is not only necessary, but super healthy. And you might not want to hear that, but I mean, just look, even going all the way back to September of 2018, could not get above that moving average. We finally did kind of in the middle of February, and that kind of helped lead to this nice bounce that we had at the beginning of April. But we do want to find support in this area. We want to find support here. And you can see this is on the daily here. We wouldn't have to wait too long. We could see today we already have a nice red candle, decent, about a third or half of what the green candle was. Not quite as big, about a third. But we could see, usually what we see in crypto, some of these days, we don't usually get 3-4 straight days of huge candles, as you can see on this chart here. One huge day. One day, it's not huge, it's still a significant day there. Should we expect a huge day where we pull back? Potentially, that might suck a lot of enthusiasm out of people. We see a huge red candle here, pretty big green candle, and these are all separated by about a week and a half, a few weeks at a time. Here, huge red candle, pretty big green candle, and there's a lot of price action going on here, and that's good because that indicates potentially a bottom. You can see a lot of price action going on when we hit 3,200 US dollars, right around that 3,000 US dollar range. So yeah, that's it for the video on Bitcoin today. If you're new to the channel, guys, make sure to hit the button and then hit the other button. Thanks for watching, and I'll be back with another update soon.